What is going on today, guys? So we have the trailer hooked up in the back with some parts in the back, and we are about to grab some. Sorry, there's Cody.
Hello.
We are about to go grab something for my Mustang. That should be a pretty big improvement from where we're at. I'm gonna see if the guy's gonna let us record. If not, we will circle back afterwards, but stay tuned. What is going on tonight, guys? So it's been a little bit of time. Last time you saw us, we were taking apart the motor. I'm sorry, putting back together the motor finally. Got the heads on, got pretty much everything cleaned up. We did go ahead and put in the front crankcase seal. So tonight we're going to do the rear main, as well as potentially put on the flywheel, the clutch, and even potentially mount up the transmission. That would be really cool. But I had given you guys a little bit of a teaser the last time. So I had mentioned that now that the motor's back together, it is not going to go back into the black car. Okay, the black car just ended up being a little bit rustier than what we were hoping for. And I had came across a very good deal, actually on Facebook, and figured I would give you guys the final unveil. This is the coupe. So we came across an excellent deal on just not even really a roller. I had to bring my whole K-member and control arm, so this is actually all the new stuff, which is cool, as well as bring my whole rear end. And we had to just go ahead and slide it underneath at the guy's house to get everything rolling. So this is what everything's going to be going into now. The cool thing is the car was originally a stick car, so there's a couple less things we have to figure out, a couple less things that we have to mess around with. It just makes it a lot easier from my perspective, as well as the back of this car is super solid. So this car has already had its strut towers repaired or replaced, I don't even know, but it's been super patched up here, which is what you're seeing right there. It could have been a little bit better of a job, not gonna lie, but it's not bad. It really isn't. This car had really good strut towers for what it counts, but at the same point, the rest of the car was kind of messed up. This whole thing had been in like 3 front end accidents from what I can tell. The core support was all junk. This one actually doesn't have a core support on it, but it has an aftermarket core support sitting in the car currently. So it's just a better base overall. There's really not a whole lot else I can say other than it's the route that we're going to go with. So we still need to disassemble that car. We need to grab the fenders. We need to grab the hood. We're going to take off the doors. We're going to take off the trunk. So this thing is going to be a green and black hodgepodge. These were not mine because obviously I don't have those. They were already on the car, so it just seems really fitting. The back of this car has some absolutely terrible, and I mean terrible, pinstripes. So all of that's going to come off. We're even going to grab the taillights. And yeah, we're going to make it happen. So the only unfortunate thing, and I've got a lot of stuff in here just because I only recently pushed this into the garage. So that car's got a full black dash in it, and this car has like a mixture of like the light gray and dark gray dash. Well, we're gonna put that whole black dash into this car. So that means that this whole piece is gonna come out. I'm gonna get a new windshield once everything's done. But the whole piece is going to come out, and it's gonna be a little bit of effort to get that done, but at the same point, it's going to give us access to a couple things that we were going to have to address on the other car anyways. So the other car had some issues with the heater core that we were going to have to do regardless. So it's unfortunate, but at the same time, it's one of those eventualities that we were going to do with the car anyways. So now we just get to rip the Band-Aid off. We didn't really get that far in the car, so really we're really not out a whole lot of money. I think I calculated it out, it was like 100, 200 bucks. So it's gonna end up working out. When I bought the car, it had a junk front bumper. I had actually picked up a new front bumper, and that's gonna go directly on this car. We've already got the fenders. I'm actually gonna save the front half of this car, like the strut towers and whatnot, because that part's solid, the rest of the car's not. So we're gonna just chop the front end off, and then we're gonna end up chopping it up into little pieces and getting it out of here. What is going on tonight, guys? So tonight we are going to be getting a couple things done. We are going to mount the transmission to the engine, okay? We are going to disassemble the front end here, which is really, it looks more complex than what it is, just because it's just a couple things. It's all pretty straightforward and simple. Just like taking off the, sorry, I was holding you guys at an angle, taking off the wheels, removing the coilovers, so on and so forth. Way more simple than what it seems like, just because it's not really
there's not a whole lot going on, to be honest with you. So we're going to go ahead and remove the K member out. Okay, then we are going to mount the K member on the bottom of the motor. So I'm going to have to end up picking up the motor with the cherry picker and then putting it underneath. We do have the AJE mounts because it's an AJE plate. So these are these right here. These bolt directly to the side of the block. Should allow us to rigid mount it. And then, more than likely, we will end up rolling it back underneath here to get everything mounted up. So, and also, in the meantime, we're going to grab the headers that are over there, get those mounted up, as well as the low-car dipstick, which I'm pretty excited for. So we are going to get cracking. Very first thing though, we are going to mount up the motor to the transmission to get that started. So I might need to actually end up bringing over the motor over here just to kind of get it mocked up where I think it should go. Just because then we can pick it up with the cherry picker to get everything all mounted up and working. So we're going to get cracking, and yeah, we're going to go from there. Since we're going to be doing it outside of the car, it's going to be a lot easier. Basically, I'm just going to end up putting the transmission in gear, and then I can simply move the output shaft that I have right here in the back end. I can simply just adjust it to wherever I need to adjust it to, and it should more or less get to where it needs to go. So somewhere, I think it's in the car still, I do have a transmission cross member as well that we can go ahead and start to get some of that stuff more rigid mount, but we just got to keep working on that as we go, and yeah, let's see where we get tonight. All right, let's get cracking. Okay, perfect. So we have the motor together with the transmission. Actually, everything went really smoothly. I had to find some more bell housing bolts. I guess I either misplaced a few. I don't really recall. But I did end up just going through my stash of bolts that I still have from when I swapped over the C10. So it was all the bolts. Quick little backstory. I actually, my uncle had given me a Suburban, went through, tore that thing down. A lot of the hardware I just saved through in like a coffee can, and I've been pulling from that for probably 3 years, and I'll probably continue to do that. I'll probably add to it when we start to tear down the convertible. So now the next thing that's going to get done, because I don't think everything is going to get done tonight, but the next thing that's going to get done is I want to remove the K member. This is a pretty straightforward process. I just need to jack it up, take the wheels off, and just start pulling off all the parts that we put on. Like I said, pretty straightforward. There's some harnesses I just got to kind of tuck out of the way, at least for now. And we can probably go ahead and get this to a point where I can roll the engine on the rollers that it's on right now back underneath the car, kind of, you know, right over here in this area, just to give me a little bit more room. And yeah. We are going to hopefully get this all mounted up. So I went ahead and got a bunch of the stuff at least preset, made sure I was matching up the motor mounts and whatnot to make sure that we have everything kind of aligned, as well as I went ahead and set out all of the stuff for the intake because ideally my goal today is to get the K-member up in the car with the motor on the engine mounts for the final time. So essentially the motor will be more or less finally installed. From there, I'd really like to go ahead and get the headers on, as well as a couple other smaller items that still do need to be finalized. But with that being said, like the intake, we want to get the intake on because I'm tired of covering up all this stuff here because I'm worried that I'm going to forget about these, and that will be a bad day if I do. Okay, so we finally got the headers on. I decided about halfway through that I didn't want to use the studs, so I went ahead and just used some grade 10.9 bolts that I had. We also went ahead and installed the starter, the engine mounts. We've got a pretty good basis for everything as of right now. I have the EGR pipe loosely installed for now. We're going to decide what we want to do with that. I was going back and forth to see if I wanted to add the EGR or not, but ideally I'd like to not have any codes if I can avoid it, so we'll probably run it at least as of right now. So I went ahead and put on the collectors as well, just to make it a little bit easier on myself, as well as swapped out the harness with the harness that I want to run. So to continue to move forward, I need to take basically everything apart here. I need to take off the rack and pinion, as well as I need to take off the control arms. Once that is done, I can actually go ahead and slide the K member actually directly onto the motor itself, and then we can actually get this thing kind of installed. Now I'm debating as of right now, here, let me give you a little bit better of a visual. I'm debating as of right now if I want to go ahead and pull out the exhaust. The only downside is I think what I'm going to have to do to be able to do that, at least from what I can tell, let me throw this light on real quick. I definitely have to take off those mounts right there, and I think that there's one additional mount that I'll have to remove that's back underneath there to be able to at least drop it out, at least from my understanding. But I'm worried that I'm also going to need to take out the rear end, which does need to come out. However, it doesn't need to come out today. So that's what I'm going back and forth on, at least as of right now. But I'd really like to get this motor and trans mounted in the car first. So what I may do is I may just try to make it work initially as it is right now. And for whatever reason, if it doesn't work, then we'll probably pull the whole rear end and the exhaust to be able to get everything done. But for now, what we're going to do is we're actually just going to take apart the K-member, get that down to bare bones, and then we are going to go ahead and get that underneath the motor, and ideally get the motor up on the cherry picker and finally in the car. I did also just apply some additional paint to the inside of the shock towers and things along those lines, since everything's all apart as of right now. Makes it nice and easy, keeps it nice and clean. So we're going to take this all apart, and then we'll come back once we have basically all of this separated out, and ideally we'll just keep moving forward. Okay, so we have the K-member totally separated. Now we're going to go ahead and pick the engine up on the cherry picker. Okay, and then I went ahead and already put on my leveler. So what we're going to do is we want to essentially be like this, so we can go ahead and put the K-member on, and then we'll level it back out, and ideally put all the bolts in and get it all snugged up. So we do have the motor in, at least as of right now. I need to tighten up all the bolts. They're all just finger tight. I'm not really too concerned as far as weight goes. I know they'll be totally fine. I did pull out the engine hoist. Thankfully we went ahead and collapsed all that, so it's all good to go there. So we do need to put in the transmission cross member, because right now I just have it jacked up underneath the car, as well as I think what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to put like a piece of wood directly on the that's a transmission jack. I'll jack up directly on the bottom of the cross member to take the weight off those bolts. Then I should be able to tighten all of those bolts all the way down. So I did have to remove the EGR tube. It's somewhere over there, because I do have a good access to it. The thing that I realized that might cause me some issues, but maybe not, is the right here is the steering shaft. However, I was kind of trying to figure out exactly how that goes into place, and I think it goes in between a couple of those headers. But thankfully, I'm going to change that whole column from that car into this one, and I think everything is all connected from what I can tell. So it's not really a huge deal no matter what. So we're going to go ahead and put this transmission cross member in. That will give the transmission a place to sit actually on the car, as well as then we are going to take the trans jack up the bottom cross member to take the bolts off, and then we'll go ahead and tighten up everything, and we should be in a good position from here. So I think the fit so far is pretty great, from what I can tell, on both sides. Now I'm a little bit more concerned about the steering shaft, but that's not really a huge deal. This is also an interesting thing. So this is that Locar engine oil dipstick. So it's kind of strange because there's not really a way to mount this, is what I've actually read. I was a little bit concerned that I had been doing it wrong, but then going back and apparently that just is exactly the situation. Is there's not really a good way to mount that anywhere, is from what I was reading, even though it's the direct one for this car, for this motor. It's a little bit confusing, but it is what it is. So we're gonna go ahead and, like I said, get that done, get the bolts up, and then we'll move on to the intake. And yeah, we should be in really good shape. So it's looking great as of right now, and yeah, we'll keep cruising. Well, here she is. She is in, and it looks good. I always love seeing a nice chrome header. So we have, I haven't tightened up the control arms yet. We're going to leave those loose at least for right now. We have the engine mounts all tightened up. We threw the coilovers in just to get them out of the way. So unfortunately, I do need to order, I guess I didn't realize this, but I do need to order the specific T45 to TR3650 cross member. So these are the standard cross members that work for like a T45, and I even compared the one for the automatic that was in the car, and it looked to be the same. So, but I do see that the TR3650s are different. I tried this mount, which was a different piece entirely, or maybe I threw it back actually on the T45 where it was slightly offset. However, the plate was still making contact with the trans, so it looks like Stifler's Mustang Parts makes the correct swap piece that you need that will basically make it all go together. So it's a little pricey. It's like 150 bucks or something like that, 190. But from my position, honestly, it's worth it. I dealt on my C10 with vibration like nonstop, and it was horrible to deal with. So with this, we're just going to go directly right to the source, make it nice and easy, get the correct cross member. That'll allow the transmission to be fully bolted up in the car. It does look really really nicely. I had actually gotten these from LMR. So this is Walker 41726. And these go directly from either factory headers, I believe, or I should say factory manifolds, even though I think technically speaking these are more for headers. It looks like I'll be able to slip these on, throw some connectors on, and it looks like the exhaust will be done. So I had to take these off actually so it would stop hitting the exhaust, because that's how tight of a fit it was. So today we are back out in the garage. We are going to hopefully get a couple of things installed, so let's take a look. So we did get in the Stifler's transmission mount, the whole kit right there. So we're going to go ahead and put that in. Should be pretty straightforward and simple. Here is the, this is a SVE, just a polyurethane transmission bushing. Should be totally fine with this. We went ahead and grabbed our sway bar. I had actually pulled these from the junkyard. These are just some polyurethane bushings for the sway bar, as well as some new TRW sway bar links. Then we do have all the tie rods. It's a mix. It looks like it's actually all quick steer stuff. We have a drive shaft safety loop. We should be able to get this installed today, but we might need to defer until tomorrow for that, as well as the rack, which we're going to be installing the tie rods on. So we're in really good shape to do all that stuff. So we're actually going to start off with the transmission mount itself. So here, let me go ahead and put this here. Let's take a look. Right there. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward, everything that I can read, that I can see right here. It looks like this will be mounted, so the transmission will be this direction. So here's everything that we'll be looking at right here. I believe I'm going to have to press this out, and I should be applying some silicone grease to these. So it does just come with the cross member as well as the hardware. So it should be pretty much straightforward and easy. I'm just taking a look to see the best route, and what we'll do is probably I'll just go ahead and pop this backwards. So quick note, it does exactly tell you how many spacers you'll need. The spacers that they're referring to are these, from everything that I can see on there. So if we're running a polyurethane mount without the drive shaft, it looks like, or I'm sorry, without the drive shaft safety loop, it looks like we'll need both of the spacers. So those will just go directly on top right there, and then the transmission bolts should go directly through that. And let me see, because I almost worry if we're going to need some longer bolts based on that. Let's take a look, because these are some pretty thick ones. So these will end up on top of here. One, two. So it looks like they want both of those stacked up right on that, right there, and I can almost guarantee I am going to need a longer bolt from the looks of it, but that's okay. So these are going to be the actual bolts themselves that go directly through here. And then this is what they're going to call the nylon spacers. So the nylon spacers will go on each side. Pretty straightforward and simple from that aspect right there. So, looks like this is the hardware directly for those bolts. Give you a washer for each side, and as well as a nut. Makes it really nice and simple to go ahead and get everything done in one fashion. Let's see, just so we don't lose the hardware. Just like that. So I am going to, let's see if we can just pop with the hammer. Actually, it looks like it wants to go this direction. Looks like we're good there. I would really like that to be out, so I'm going to press this out real quick. Pretty straightforward, and then we'll go ahead and lube all of this up and get it nice and cleaned up real fast. So we have it all assembled. I had actually gone to my parts bin for bolts. So these are 1/2 by 13 for this SVE. It came with these like super ridiculous. I mean, this is completely unacceptable. It's 3/4 inch long bolts. And really it needs to be studs. I was able to find one stud, and then I had a 1-inch bolt. So that'll at least get us moving. Once this is mounted in the car, really all it is a locator. So it's not a ridiculous, or I should say it's not a huge deal. The correct way to do this would be either 1.5 or maybe 2-inch studs that you can just put a nut on top. So next time I'm at the store, I'll probably get some studs, replace these two, and then just be done with it completely. But overall, that's what you're gonna end up needing. We did get these all lubricated up. Everything works really nicely now. So now we're gonna install it in the car. I'm also gonna make sure I anti-seize the body of the bolts. I do that anytime I'm working on any fastener because we're in the state of Michigan and everything rusts. So we are going to hop underneath the car, get this installed, and then finally drop the trans down and see where we're at for the transmission mount. So we'll keep cruising on. Hopefully we can get this thing together here in the next couple weeks, and I'm getting really excited to drive it. So thanks for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you like, you hate. Yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.